2 years. Then I got there 5 years. They said to me, before we started, and that's a true story, before the project started.
When René Charles Angélil, the only son of legendary singer Celine Dion and her late husband René Angélil, turned 24, he finally confirmed something that fans had whispered about for years. For much of his life, people assumed he would follow his mother's path into music. Yet he stayed silent. He grew up surrounded by fame, lights, and expectations. But he rarely gave interviews or appeared in public. This silence created endless speculation. Was he secretly recording? Was he working behind the scenes in music? Or had he completely rejected the world his parents knew so well? In 2025, René Charles finally broke his silence, admitting that music had always been in his blood, but in his own way. He revealed that he had been writing, producing, and slowly shaping his career. Not as Celine Dion's son, but as himself. He wanted to step forward only when he felt ready, not when the world demanded it. His words confirmed what many suspected. He could not fully escape music, but he also wanted to build his own identity, separate from his mother's towering legacy. This honesty explained the secrecy of his early 20s and gave fans a better picture of the young man who had grown up in the shadow of one of the most powerful voices in the world. Being the son of Celine Dion was never going to be ordinary. From the moment René Charles was born in January 2001, the world already had expectations for him. His mother was at the height of her career, known for her powerful voice, sold-out shows, and emotional ballads. She was not just a singer, she was a global icon. Growing up in such a household meant living under constant public attention. Paparazzi chased the family, fans speculated about every detail of his life, and the media constantly compared him to his famous parents. Celine tried her best to protect him from this pressure. She had lived through years of being judged for her looks, criticized for her relationship with René Angélil, and picked apart by tabloids. She knew the cost of fame and wanted something different for her son. Still, she also wanted him to grow with discipline and appreciation for music. He often accompanied her to rehearsals, concerts, and backstage moments where he saw firsthand how demanding the music industry could be. As a child, he admired his mother's commitment, but also witnessed the sacrifices fame required. This duality, admiration mixed with caution, shaped his early choices. Instead of rushing into music, he stepped back, observed, and waited for the right moment to decide his own future. For René Charles, the challenge was not simply choosing a career. It was about managing the weight of a legacy. Being Celine Dion's son came with assumptions. People imagined he would have the same voice, the same career path, and the same passion for singing. But legacies can be both inspiring and crushing. Fans expected perfection before he had even sung a note. From a young age, he was asked whether he would perform like his mother, whether he would inherit her talent, and whether he could live up to her extraordinary success. This constant pressure made it difficult for him to explore his identity freely. While many young adults spend their early 20s experimenting, failing, and finding themselves in private, René Charles had the world watching his every move. This is why he chose to stay silent for so long. He wanted to escape the noise, find his voice, and then speak on his own terms. When he finally revealed his interest in music, he made it clear that he would not attempt to be the next Celine Dion. Instead, he wanted to carve his own path, blending modern influences, hip-hop, and production styles that connected with his generation. His confirmation at 24 was not just about music. It was about freedom, identity, and courage to step out of the shadow of greatness. To understand René Charles's journey, it is important to look back at the story of his mother, Celine Dion. Long before she became a superstar, she was a girl from Charlemagne, Quebec, born into a poor but loving family. Celine was the youngest of 14 children, raised in a tiny, overcrowded house where money was always short. Her father worked as a butcher, and her mother stayed home, sewing clothes, cooking meals, and making ends meet. When Celine was born, there was not even a crib for her. Instead, she slept in a dresser drawer lined with blankets, because there was simply no space or money for anything else. Yet what the Dion household lacked in wealth, it made up for with music. Her parents loved singing and playing instruments, and they passed this love down to their children. Music became the family's escape, their joy, and their way of surviving hardship. Every evening, songs filled the house, creating a warm atmosphere that hid the struggles of poverty. For young Celine, music was more than entertainment. It was her identity. Even before the world knew her, she was already learning resilience, discipline, and passion through the crowded life of her family home. This background would later help her not only succeed, but also raise her own children, including René Charles, with an understanding of humility and strength. Celine's road to stardom was not easy. As a child, she was often mocked for her looks. Classmates teased her for being too skinny and for her large teeth, cruelly calling her names like Vampire or K9 Dion. The bullying left scars and made her feel invisible at school. Later, when she began performing publicly, even tabloids joined in the criticism, focusing on her appearance rather than her talent. Yet Celine found strength in music. Singing gave her confidence, a way to fight back against the world that mocked her. By the time she was a teenager, her family realized her voice was extraordinary. At just 12, she recorded her first demo with the help of her mother and brother. They sent the tape to René Angélil, a well-known music manager in Quebec. When he heard her sing, he was stunned. He believed she had the potential to become one of the greatest voices in the world. To prove his commitment, he mortgaged his own home to fund her career, a risk that would eventually pay off. This chance not only changed Celine's life, but also shaped her values as a mother. She knew firsthand the importance of patience, perseverance, and belief. Later, she tried to give the same lessons to her son, encouraging him to move at his own pace rather than rushing to meet public expectations. Celine's personal life was as extraordinary as her career. Her relationship with René Angélil began as a professional partnership, but grew into a deep love story. Despite criticism about their age difference, they married in 1994 and built a family together. Their love produced 3 sons, René Charles in 2001, followed by twins Nelson and Eddie in 2010. For Celine, motherhood was a blessing, but it also came with new challenges. Balancing life as an international star and as a mother required sacrifice. When René was diagnosed with cancer, Celine took a step back from music to care for him, showing the world that family always came first. She became not only a singer but also a wife and caregiver. Her children watched her endure both success and suffering, learning valuable lessons about resilience and loyalty. For René Charles, these experiences shaped his values. He saw how deeply his parents cared for each other, and how his mother protected her family against outside pressure. This background explains why he guarded his privacy so closely in his youth, and why his eventual confirmation about music felt so personal and meaningful. Throughout his teenage years and early 20s, René Charles stayed mostly silent in the public eye. Unlike other celebrity children who chased fame early, he remained in the background. Occasionally, he appeared at award shows with his mother, but he rarely gave interviews. This silence only fueled speculation. Fans wondered if he was secretly preparing for a big debut, or if he had rejected music altogether. In truth, he was exploring quietly, experimenting with writing and producing while staying away from the spotlight. Celine supported this choice, shielding him from unnecessary pressure. She knew how cruel the industry could be and wanted him to enter it only when he was truly ready. By the time he turned 24, the years of silence had built so much curiosity that his confirmation felt explosive. Fans finally understood that the secrecy was not rejection, but preparation. He had been building confidence, skills, and identity away from public judgment. When he revealed his connection to music, it was not as a child riding on his mother's fame, but as an adult ready to stand on his own. Now, with his confirmation, René Charles stands at the start of a new journey. His honesty shows maturity and courage. Instead of letting fame define him, he has chosen to define himself. He carries both privilege and responsibility. The privilege of learning from one of the greatest performers of all time, and the responsibility of carrying a family name that means so much in the world of music. His choice to enter music on his own terms reflects both his independence and his respect for his mother's struggles. Fans are excited not because they expect another Celine Dion, but because they are curious about the unique sound and style he will bring. His journey is still unfolding, but one thing is clear. The silence is over, and a new voice is ready to be heard. At 24, René Charles Angélil has confirmed what many suspected. Music is in his blood, and he cannot escape it. But he has also made it clear that his path will be his own, and that may be the most powerful revelation of all. The turning point in René Charles' life came in 2016 when his father, René Angélil, passed away after a long battle with cancer. At only 15 years old, René Charles was suddenly thrust into a role that no teenager is truly prepared for. He became the eldest man in the household, helping his mother care for his younger twin brothers. Losing a father is devastating for any child, but for René Charles, the pain was doubled by the fact that his dad had been his mentor, his role model, and the person who guided his mother's legendary career. René Angélil was more than a father. He was the foundation of their family. His absence left Celine broken-hearted, but she leaned on her eldest son for strength. This period forced René Charles to grow up quickly. He learned responsibility, patience, and the importance of protecting his family from outside pressures. While many teenagers were busy worrying about school or friendships, he was helping his mother manage grief and supporting his younger siblings. This maturity later influenced the way he handled fame. Instead of rushing into the spotlight for quick attention, he valued silence, privacy, and timing. The loss of his father made him wiser, more cautious, and more protective of the people he loved. It shaped him into a young man who understood the weight of family, legacy, and duty long before most of his peers. In recent years, Celine Dion has faced another enormous challenge: her battle with stiff person syndrome, a rare and painful neurological condition that has forced her to step away from performing. For fans, the news was heartbreaking. For her children, especially René Angélil, it was a reminder of how fragile life can be. Once again, he found himself stepping into a supportive role. Instead of being the child who needed protection, he became the son who provided comfort, encouragement, and stability. Caring for his mother while she faced such difficulties deepened his sense of responsibility and compassion. He learned not only to admire her as a singer, but also to admire her strength as a fighter. These private battles also explain why he stayed away from the spotlight for so long. His priority was not fame, it was family. He understood that while the world was waiting for him to step into music, his mother and brothers needed him more. This balance of love, duty, and patience is rare in someone so young, but it also gave him depth and maturity. When he finally confirmed his musical journey at 24, people realized that his delay was not hesitation. It was devotion. He chose to put family first, just like his mother always had. Even though René Angélil stayed quiet for most of his teenage years, he was not completely absent from music. A few years ago, he quietly released a few rap and hip-hop tracks online under the name Big Tip. These songs, uploaded to SoundCloud, showed that he was experimenting with his style, blending modern beats with lyrics that reflected his own experiences. While the songs did not reach mainstream success, they gave a glimpse of his creative side. Some fans were surprised, expecting a ballad singer like his mother, but his choice of genre proved that he wanted to be different. He was not chasing after Celine's footsteps, he was carving out his own. This bold move also revealed his independence. Rather than relying on his mother's fame, he tested himself in a space where success had to be earned, not given. The experiment may have been small, but it taught him important lessons about music, audience, and identity. It also confirmed that while he had music in his blood, he wanted to express it in his own way. His honesty about these early attempts made his later confirmation at 24 even more meaningful, because fans could see that his journey was real, not a marketing stunt, but a gradual discovery of who he truly was as an artist. Throughout all these ups and downs, one thing has remained constant: the deep bond between Celine Dion and her eldest son. From the beginning, she made it clear that her children were her greatest treasure. Even at the peak of her fame, she was willing to step away from the stage to take care of her family. In return, René Angélil grew up with enormous respect for his mother's sacrifices. Their relationship is not just one of parent and child, it is a partnership built on loyalty, trust, and shared struggles. He often appears by her side at public events, quietly supporting her without seeking the spotlight for himself. During interviews, Celine has expressed how proud she is of him, not only for his potential in music, but also for his character as a young man. For René Angélil, his mother is more than an icon. She is his role model, teacher, and source of unconditional love. This connection explains why he has been so careful with his public image. He knows that everything he does reflects not just on himself,